lecture is on the semiconductors. So it is in the chapter 3 of your syllabus, that is semiconductors. Okay. So these are the all contents that will be covered as per your syllabus of BTech first semester. The first is intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors, and then I will be discussing and explaining about the how Fermi level depends on the carrier concentration and temperature, and further we will discuss the equilibrium carrier statistics based on these understandings. Okay. And then third topic is on the carrier generation and recombination in semiconductors. Then I will be covering with you the carrier transportation by two process, that is drift and diffusion. And in the end, the applications of this whole concepts about semiconductors will be utilized to understand the application in the field of fabrication of PN junction. Along with that, I will be introducing you how to construct the LED and solar cell devices. Along with that, how both of them works. So this is going to be very useful for all of you. So what exactly is semiconductor? So you must have heard about and studied about the conductors in your school time, that the conductors are those which allows electric current to flow through them. They are offering electric current to pass through them. So example is a copper, which is a metal. Okay, and then comes the insulators. Insulators are the one which do not allow the electric current to flow through them. This means they are something which are highly insulating in nature, which are posing high obstruction, to the flow of current, to the current flow. So examples are dielectric materials, or you can say wood, or you can say open circuit is also a kind of obstruction such that current cannot flow at all. So paper, wood are all examples of insulators. Okay. Now comes the semiconductor, which is the major point of focus in today's class and in this particular chapter. Materials whose conductivity lies in between that of conductors and insulators is called as semiconductor. This means its conductivity is lying in between the insulators and conductors. That is what is saying semiconductor, which is partially conducting in nature. Okay. So the materials whose electrical conductivity lies between those of conductors and insulators are known as semiconductors, as I told you in the previous slide also. Examples are silicon, germanium, cadmium sulfide. And what are these values with the units of electron volt? These are the band gap energies value for various semiconducting material. Okay. So silicon is the most widely used one semiconductor. Okay, it's having a band gap of 1.1 electron volt. It is widely used everywhere. You can see in a practical lives also. Solar cells, silicon based solar cells are employed, are already in use everywhere. Okay. And semiconductors have negative temperature coefficient of resistance. So I will be deriving certain equations in the coming slide, by which you will get to know how conductivity of semiconductors depends on the temperature. So I will be discussing there about this particular thing. Okay, so temperature increases, resistivity decreases. So with the increase in temperature, conductivity increases, and conductivity is inversely proportional to resistivity. So resistivity will decrease. So this is the inverse proportionality relation with the temperature of resistivity. Okay. So this shows the energy band diagram for the insulators and conductors. Metals are conductors only. So here you can see in insulators the forbidden band gap is too wide, it is too broad. And then there is conduction band, and here it is valence band. Valence band is fully filled, conduction band is empty. We need to apply a certain amount of external force or external voltage or external field needs to be applied, but still they won't be conducting because they are having too broad band gap. Okay, but now here you can see in case of conductors, these two bands, conduction band is extending from the top to this particular level, but the valence band, let me show you the valence band is getting extended from the top and to the bottom. So this much area I would like to show you. This much area is being overlapped by the conduction band and the valence band. So you can see from here, in case of semiconductors, conduction band and valence band are overlapping with each other, and by this way you can know in conductors conductivity can be easily produced and charge carrying motion can be easily produced. Okay, so now we will talk about the semiconductor band diagram. You can see here there is some forbidden band gap. As I told you previously, the semiconductors are having property in between the insulators and metals or conductors. So neither the conduction band will be overlapping with valence band, nor there will be a wide band gap. So in between, so band gap is quite small, but there do exist, but it exists small band gap, but it exists. Okay, so you can see the green region is the forbidden band gap, then comes the conduction band, and here is your valence band, which is partly filled because some must have traveled or some must have been excited to the conduction band. Okay, so this is a diagram which is shown, which is showing you the positioning of the band gap and how they differ from the insulators and conductors. So forbidden energy band is small for semiconductor, but it exists. Okay, less energy is required for electron to move from valence band to conduction band because it is very small band gap. A vacancy or a hole remains when electron leaves the valence band. Now comes the concept of the hole. It is very important. It is actually an imaginary particle. होता क्या actually hole? What happens is whenever there are electrons in the valence band, and whenever they are leaving the position from valence band and moving on to the conduction band, what happens? A positive vacancy is being created here in the valence band. That particular positive vacancy is called as hole. So a vacancy which is left due to the when the electron leaves its position, it's called as hole, and it has a positive charge, so it is acting as a positive charge carrier. Okay, so we have two charge carriers. One is electron, other one is hole. Okay, in case of semiconductors. Now let's first talk about the intrinsic semiconductor. So a semiconductor which is in its extremely pure form. Intrinsic means, first thing you will know what intrinsic, it's pure. And when I say extrinsic, it will be impure. Intrinsic means pure semiconductor. It's silicon and germanium are the most widely used pure semiconductor materials, and they have valency 4. This means 4 valence electrons are present. Both silicon and germanium are tetravalent. Valency is 4. Each has 4 electrons in their outermost shell. Each atom shares its 4 valence electron with its 4 immediate neighbors, so that each atom is involved in 4 covalent bonds, and because of these covalent bonds only atoms are remaining in a stable state. So you can see silicon here. Silicon is having the solid sphere of silicon, and they are having 4 electrons on them. Similarly here silicon, and they are forming a covalent bonding like this, like this, like this, and this. Okay, like this they will be forming covalent bonding with the neighboring silicon atoms, and hence you can say that because of that they are staying in stability mode. Okay, this is an example of intrinsic semiconductor. Now let's come to the extrinsic semiconductor. So extrinsic semiconductors are first of all impure ones. They are impure, or some dopant is impurity atom has been added to the host pure semiconductor material. Okay, so pure semiconductors have negligible conductivity at room temperature. In order to increase the conductivity of intrinsic semiconductor, some impurity is added. The resulting semiconductor is called impure or extrinsic semiconductor. So you got the aim, or what was the reason behind creating the extrinsic one? In order to increase its conductivity, which is represented by sigma symbol, because more charge carriers can be created if you are forming an extrinsic semiconductor. So impurities are added at the rate of 1 atom per 10 to the power 6 to 10 to the power 10 semiconductor atoms. This is the ratio by which impurity atoms are added, and the purpose of adding impurity is to increase either the number of free electrons or to increase the number of free holes in the semiconductor. See, I told you reason is to increase conductivity, and conductivity depends on the concentration of electrons and concentration of holes. Okay, sorry, holes. So the main thing is to increase electrons and increase holes in the material, and by which the conductivity can be easily increased. Okay, so this is the way we are working on creating the extrinsic semiconductor. So here you can see there are two types of impurity atom which are added to semiconductor. First of all, either we can add group 5 elements that will create n-type semiconductor. If we add group 13, group 3 elements, it will create p-type semiconductor. So pentavalent impurity atom like phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth is added, then it will be forming a n-type semiconductor. If atoms containing 3 valence electrons are added, or trivalent impurity atoms are added like aluminium, gallium, boron, indium, then it will be creating a p-type semiconductor. In p-type, holes are more than electrons, and n-type electrons are having high concentration than holes. Because in n-type the valency is 5 valence electrons are there, but in case of p-type the group 3 elements are having 3 valence electrons, so they are falling short of electron, and hence one extra hole is created, and they are having excessive electrons, so one excess electron is created. Every time we are doping, there are Avogadro number of atoms in an element, so Avogadro number of extra electrons are created in the n-type, that is why electrons are more than holes, and there the holes are more than the electrons. Okay, then there's a difference table to brief out whatever we have studied above in the previous slides about the intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic is a pure form and extrinsic is a doped one with having impurity atom. Here the charge carriers are produced only due to thermal agitation, but here what happens? They are produced due to charge carriers like electrons and holes are produced due to impurities, and they may also be produced due to the thermal agitation process. They have very low electrical conductivity, but in case of extrinsic, they have high electrical conductivity. That is why we are doping it. The operating temperature is quite low for intrinsic, but operating temperature is quite high for extrinsic. So this is again a one more benefit. This is also beneficial. Okay. So at 0 Kelvin Fermi level lies exactly between the conduction band and valence band. Till now I have not told you about Fermi level. The next I will be telling you Fermi level, and then we will come back to study this point. Okay, let's leave this point right now. Examples of intrinsic are silicon and germanium. Examples of extrinsic, silicon and germanium doped with host purity atom doped with the aluminium, indium, phosphorus, arsenic, group 3 and group 5. Okay, so now let's come on to understanding the Fermi energy and Fermi level. So Fermi energy, first of all, what actually is Fermi energy? Fermi energy is a quantum mechanical concept, and it usually refers to the energy of highest occupied quantum state in a system of fermions at absolute zero temperature. It's a very technical definition, but if you say simply what you can say, fermions इसमें क्या है हमारे electrons हैं, okay, or you can say holes. But here we are talking about the electrons only while we are talking about the Fermi level. Okay, so Fermi energy kya hai? Basically it's a quantum mechanical concept, and it usually refers to energy of highest occupied quantum state in the system. Highest occupied state, and that too with the electron. That particular level is called the Fermi energy level. It's a maximum energy which can be occupied by an electron at absolute 0 Kelvin. That is called as Fermi level or EF. And it does depend on the temperature. If temperature changes, Fermi level also, Fermi energy level EF gets shifted. It is highly dependent on temperature, and we are going to study the dependence of Fermi level in both intrinsic and extrinsic. As I showed you in the content of the syllabus, it's there. We will do derivation and numericals on these two topics. Okay, so you got an idea about Fermi energy and Fermi level in the case of semiconductors. Okay, so we will be resuming in the other section. To follow my next video for further to study, and in the next class I will be continuing with the Fermi energy diagram for intrinsic semiconductor. Thank you. If you have any doubts or any query, you can write in the comment box. Thank you.